In today's video, we're going to be making ourselves a simple name and age app using Visual Basic, where you type in your name and you type in your age, click submit, and a little box reappears telling you, "Hello Tim, your age is 34. Okay, so you press that and then you can close your app off. Simple little game, but it's going to get us well, basically an introduction to working with variables in Visual Basic. Okay, so I'm just going to close off this solution. We're going to start fresh. So go up to the File menu, make yourself a new project. Choose Visual Basic from the left and the Windows Forms app in the middle there. Give your app a name, make sure it's a meaningful name. So I'll just call it name and age. Save it in your documents folder. I'm just going to save mine on the desktop for the purpose of this tutorial, but you want yours in your documents somewhere. We'll click OK. Alrighty, so we can start creating our app now. We've got an empty form here that we're going to start working with today. We'll pop down and grab a couple of labels to start with and throw them on our page. Starting with label 1, let's go over to our properties on the right side here. The text we want for label 1 is simply name. Scrolling down to the design section, the name you want for that label is LBL, which stands for label, and then name with a capital N, so label name. Coming over to label 2 now, click on that. The text you want to appear in label 2 is age. Make sure you got a colon at the end of it as well. Coming back down to the design section, the name you want for this is LBL age with a capital A. Remember, LBL stands for label. It's the abbreviated way of saying it, and that way we've got a meaningful name that can be used in our code and people will understand what item we are talking about on our page. So put name and age somewhere up there in the top left. I'll just highlight them both and move them up a bit. Next thing I want to put in is a couple of text boxes. So scrolling down our toolbox, look for a couple of text boxes and bring them out. Try and line them up with their name and age there. So it's looking something like that. You may need to highlight both of them and just stretch them out a bit. Some people might have long names, so you want to give them plenty of room to write into. Alright, that looks pretty good. You can resize this form a bit now as well. So, click on the first text box next to name. Scrolling down, we're going to look for the design section and give it a name. For a text box, we call them a TXT, and then we'll write name next to that. So TXT stands for text box. And then we've got name after that, just something meaningful that describes that text box. Coming down to age, the name for that one will be TXT, and then age, the text box age. Alright, so that's looking good. Next thing we're going to bring out is a button. So from your toolbox, find the button and bring out a button for me. Stick it down in the bottom right. Feel free to make it a little bit bigger if you want. Now clicking on button 1, two things we need to do here. First of all, give it a name, so BTN, it's our shortened version of button. We're going to call it BTN submit. So button submit. And coming back up, the text we want to appear on the button face, instead of button 1, we're going to change it to submit. And you'll see that button 1 here will change to submit. Finally, just to get this form set up, click on the form now and change the text to name and age. So what we've written here in the text will appear up in the top left hand corner of the app, and coming down we want to give that form a name as well. So FRM is the shortened version for form, name and age. So form, name and age. Alrighty, so that's our form all set up. We are now up to the coding process. Okay, so what we need to do here is basically click the submit button over here to get our result. So let's double click on the submit button, and that brings up a bit of code that basically says when we click on button submit, this is a click event, remember, so when our mouse clicks on it, what do we want it to do? Okay, well there's a few things we want it to do. Overall, we just want it to have a message box that pops up and says, hello, whatever your name is, your age is something. Okay, but before we do that, we need to declare some variables. Now, variables are like buckets that you can put information into and you can take information out of. And that information can chop and change. Alright, and it's going to make a bit more sense once we start doing it a few times. So to start with, we need to declare the variables, or the name of those variables in our app. So I'm going to write DIM, which stands for declare in memory, and the name of the first variable that we're going to create, we'll just call it name. Okay, and we're going to declare it as a string. Okay, so this is its data type. What type of data is going to be typed in to this box? Okay, the type of data we're typing in is a string of characters. That's why we're calling it a string. The second variable that we want to work with, so declare in memory, age. Okay, and we're going to do that as an integer. Okay, so when we type something into this box, it's going to be a number. So that's why we've declared that data type as an integer. Alright, so we've got two variables now created, name and age. But where are we going to get their values from? Where are we going to get the information from? Okay, so that's what we have to type in next into our code. So the first thing, name. We're going to write name equals. And we're basically going to get the text out of this text box. Whatever text is typed into there, that's what the value name is going to be. So we write text name, that's the name of our text box, dot text. Okay, so now our variable name, which is here and here, its value is going to be whatever's written into the text box. Simple. Let's do something very similar for the age. So the age equals text age, which is our text box that holds the age, dot text. Alright, so now whatever is typed in these two boxes, they will be stored in two variables called name and age. So the next thing we get to do is display a message box that reads back their name and age to the user. So we'll write message box dot show. And remember, open up some brackets, and inside quotation marks, let's write hello, put a space, and close those quotation marks. Then we're going to put the ampersand sign and write name. That'll do for just now. We're not quite finished, but what this is going to do, it's going to write the word hello in a message box, and it's going to grab the name from our variable up here. So whatever the person typed into that text box, okay, is now going to appear in our little message box. Let's test that and see what happens. Alright, so in name here, I'm just going to write Tim. In age, write my age and click submit. Here's our message box that says hello Tim. So it's digging out this information and putting it into here. It doesn't touch our age yet though, so let's add our age in. Okay, so we're going to go back into these brackets where we were typing before, and after the word name we'll put a space, and we'll do that ampersand sign again, and we're going to go back to quotation marks. I'm going to put an exclamation mark just to finish that first sentence, hello Tim. Then we're going to write your age is. We'll put a space, close those quotation marks, put the ampersand sign and write age. So now we say hello Tim, and then we attach the exclamation mark just to finish that first sentence. You'll see what that does in a sec. Your age is, and then we've got the age variable. So over here in the second text box, it digs out that age and puts it into our little message box. Okay, so let's give that a bash and we'll see what happens. So we'll start that. I'm writing my name Tim, my age is 34, and click submit. So now you've got hello Tim, just that bit just there. Your age is 34. So you can also see that exclamation mark after Tim, that's that one just there. So your age is, and it digs out my age from this box and sticks it in. Okay. So now all we're left to do is just pretty up that message box. Alright, so after age, what we're going to do is put a full stop. So you need to put the and symbol again, and in quotation marks, whoop, yeah that's right, full stop, and close the quotation marks again. Then we're going to put a comma. We're going to put in some more quotation marks now, put a header on our message box. So I'm going to write in there name and age and close those quotation marks. And I'll show you what that does. Fill out the two boxes. I'll press submit. And now across the top of my message box I've got a header, name and age. Alright, and you can see I've got that full stop at the end as well next to 34. So I'll click OK on that. There's more we can do to this message box though to make it look good. Okay, so put another comma after those quotation marks, and we might write in message box buttons. Okay, when you write message box buttons, put a dot, and you can choose which buttons you want to appear in your message box. You can have all these different options, so OK, cancel, yes and no's, things like that. All we want is the OK, so just click OK. We'll put a comma, and the last thing we want to do is we've got to choose an icon. So message box icon. Dot, and you can choose from this list of icons that you want to have in your message box. I don't really mind what you put in there. I might just put, no, we don't want question. It's not a question. Information might be a good one, so we'll put in information. And oops, I just clicked down a bit there. So now I've got at the end message box icon dot information, and that will put an information symbol in our message box when we run it. So let's have a look at our final app now. Here it is here, name, age, submit. So there's our little information icon we were talking about. There's the OK button we put in. There's the header we put into the message box. And obviously there's the writing we put in before. Just watch what happens when I change the name. We'll put in something like Jess. Her age can be 15. And click submit. You can see that it's changed. It took the variable name and substituted it into there. So we now got Jess, and we took the variable age from over here and just stuck it in there. Alright, so that's a working name and age app, and you've got your first taste of what variables are over here. We're going to look at them in a lot more detail as we go on throughout this course. That's just a bit of an introduction about how variables work. Catch you in the next video.